Today we're looking at the Elgato Embrace, which is Elgato's very first entry into the office chair market. Now, if you're not familiar with Elgato, they're really well known in the gaming, streaming, and content creation space. So if you're a gamer or content creator, there's a pretty good chance you're actually using some of their products in your setup right now, whether it's a stream deck, capture card, or lighting equipment. So when I heard they were making a chair, I was kind of expecting it to be a racing style gaming chair. But I was pleasantly surprised to find that this is actually a proper ergonomic office chair with basically no gaming inspiration at all. Coming in at $499, it's positioned as a mid-range ergonomic office chair. But is it actually good? In this video, I'll be giving you my full review after testing the Embrace for the past 2 weeks. We'll go over everything I liked about the chair, as well as everything that I didn't like to help you decide if this chair is going to be the right fit for you. Now, I just want to mention that this video is sponsored by Elgato, but all opinions you're going to hear are completely my own. They didn't tell me what to say, and I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on this chair, the good and the bad. As always, links will be down in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Using my links costs you nothing, but really helps support the channel and allow me to continue doing these reviews. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the review. Starting with the design, the Elgato Embrace has a pretty subdued aesthetic in my opinion. It's a modern looking ergonomic chair with neutral colors that's not really meant to stand out or look too gaudy. It uses a combination of black and gray tones that would blend into pretty much any setup, whether it's a gaming setup or a traditional office environment. As far as I know, there's only one color option available at the moment, which keeps things simple. It's nothing too flashy, but it's clean, which is what I prefer. What I really appreciate is that there's very little branding on the chair. You only see a small Elgato logo on the back of the headrest, and that's it. A lot of gaming chairs tend to plaster their branding all over the place, so it's nice to see a more subtle approach here. Overall, this just looks like a pretty minimal ergonomic office chair without any gaming elements at all, which honestly surprised me in the best way possible. Elgato could have easily gone the gaming chair route since it's their core audience, but instead they made a chair that looks professional enough for pretty much any environment. When it comes to materials and build quality, the Embrace is okay, but not great for the price point. The entire chair is primarily made from plastic with basically no metal components at all. The base is nylon and it's a pretty small base, so it's difficult to rest your feet on it if you're someone who likes to do that. The casters are pretty bad in my opinion. I just find that they don't really roll that smoothly on hard floors, but you can easily swap them out to rollerblade casters for around $20. I'll have a link in the description to the ones that I use. Now, despite being made entirely of plastic, the chair does feel pretty solid. I didn't notice any creaking or wobbling at all when sitting in the chair, even when I'm shifting around, which is good. That said, I did notice some minor cosmetic issues right out of the box. I found a couple of small dings and scrapes on some of the frame components. Now, it's nothing that affects the actual functionality of the chair, but it's something you notice when you're inspecting it closely. The chair is rated at a 275-pound weight capacity, which is pretty standard. The upholstery uses a mesh backrest with a foam padded seat. The mesh is a fabric type material with good elasticity. It feels supportive, though it can be a bit scratchy against your bare skin. Overall, I'd say the build quality is decent, but I think there are other options at this price point that feel a bit more premium and better put together. But now let's talk about the actual comfort of the chair, starting with the seat. The seat uses a dense molded foam material. It's definitely a firm sit, but does have some give to it. I found it to be very supportive and pretty comfortable. I didn't have any issues with bottoming out, even after long sitting sessions, which is always a good sign. The seat has a nice waterfall front edge design that helps prevent contact with the back of your knees, which is good for overall circulation. This is something you really want to look for in pretty much any office chair. The seat is padded all the way around with no hard frame edges, and it's spacious enough for cross-legged sitting. You also get a seat pan depth adjustment with good range of motion, which is important for accommodating people of different heights and leg lengths. Now, one thing to point out about the seat shape is that the back of the seat kind of slopes upward at an angle. My guess is that this design choice is meant to address the issue that a lot of office chairs have, like the steel case sleeve, where when you extend the seat pan all the way out and sit all the way back in the chair, you kind of feel this large gap between the back of the seat and the backrest. With the steel case sleeve, when the seat pan is extended, it can feel like your butt is kind of hanging off the back of the seat, which can be really annoying. With the Embrace, I feel like this upward slope is meant to prevent you from sliding all the way back and feeling that gap. And for the most part, this design does work, but it comes with some caveats. Now, because of this upward slope, you do lose a decent amount of usable seat depth. You can kind of see the outline where you're supposed to sit before it starts to slant up. It's pretty significant in my opinion and makes the effective sitting area a bit smaller than you might expect based on the overall seat size. Also, if you do tend to sit all the way back in the seat out of habit like me, then you can really feel that sharp slant up, which is uncomfortable. Overall though, I find the seat to be pretty comfortable. It's firm but supportive, and I didn't have any issues with it during extended use. The backrest uses a mesh construction. It's a fabric type mesh with good elasticity that feels supportive. I do find that it can be a bit scratchy against your bare skin though, which is pretty common in kind of more budget office chairs. The backrest has a good natural lumbar curve that matches the shape of your spine, which provides decent support even without adjusting the lumbar support. But speaking of the lumbar support, you get a two-way adjustable lumbar support with both height and depth adjustment. The range of motion on the lumbar support is pretty good, and you can adjust it by turning the knob, which is easy to access while sitting. The lumbar pad itself is decently padded and can feel pretty pronounced when you have it pushed all the way out out in the highest setting. Now my only gripe is that the height adjustment can be a bit clunky. I find that it tends to catch on the sides a bit when you're moving it up and down. It's made of plastic and can feel a bit cheap, but it gets the job done. I didn't have any issues feeling the hard frame underneath the mesh when I was stretching or shifting around the chair, which is always a plus with mesh backrests. Overall, I'd say this backrest is comfortable and provides decent support. It's nothing that'll wow you, but it's solid for the price. The Recline functions almost exactly like the Steelcase Sleep V2, and even the control knobs look the same. Now when you recline back, the seat also kind of comes out and forward a bit, which gives you a nice relaxed open hip angle. It's a pretty deep recline, which is good for lounging and taking breaks. But like the Leap, this recline isn't going to be good for rocking back and forth. You're going to feel a decent amount of friction as you recline back. This allows the chair to kind of hold you in a partially reclined position without needing to lock the chair in place. And this is actually a feature that I really like. You have a tilt tension adjustment knob that's located on the side that's easy to access, and it's pretty responsive. This is definitely better than having it hidden underneath the seat like a lot of budget chairs do. Now this chair has a tilt limiter with 5 different positions that you can access by pulling the tabs connected to the tilt tension knob. Keep in mind this is not a tilt lock. Like the Leap, this is a tilt limiter. What this means is that these locking positions are essentially backstops that limit how far back you can recline in the chair. But from any position, you'll always be able to come back up to an upright position. You actually can't lock the chair in a fully reclined position and just stay there. You kind of see this tilt limiter design a lot in higher end chairs from Steelcase and Herman Miller. But personally, I never really use the tilt limiter feature on any chair. I just prefer to leave the recline fully open and adjust the tilt tension knob so that I can stay in a reclined position or fully upright if I want to. I know a lot of people prefer being able to lock their chair in a fully reclined position when they're lounging, so this is definitely something to keep in mind. If that's an important feature to you, then this chair might not be the best fit. Overall though, I think the recline mechanism is pretty well done. Like I said, it's basically identical to the Steelcase Sleep in how it functions, and it works pretty well for the most part. The headrest on the Embrace is 3D adjustable with height adjustment and 2 different pivot point adjustments. It's not the most adjustable headrest I've seen, but it gets the job done. I've actually seen this exact same headrest design on several budget office chairs I've tested in the past around the $300 price point, so while it works, I would expect a bit more from a chair that costs $500. But in terms of comfort, it's actually pretty comfortable to use. It uses the same mesh as the backrest, which has good elasticity and can be used in multiple positions, whether you like it up against the back of your head or right in the curve of your neck. The headrest is wide enough so that you don't really need to worry about coming into contact with the hard plastic frame when you move your head around, which is good. Now when it comes to stability, I didn't have too many issues with it while I was using the chair, but since none of the adjustments actually lock into place, you can knock the headrest out of position if you tilt your head back depending on how you have it set. Overall, I'd say this headrest is just really basic. It's decently comfortable and gets the job done, but it's nothing that'll wow you. I've used chairs that are significantly cheaper than the Embrace that have better headrests, like the Calamity Atlas, which comes in at around $300 and has a much more adjustable and stable headrest. When it comes to the armrests on the Embrace, they are 4D adjustable. Again, they're designed similar to the Steelcase Sleep's armrest, though they're not quite as good. You get height, depth, width, and pivot adjustments. And the range of motion on most of these adjustments is pretty good besides the pivot adjustments, which is a bit limited. The adjustments have a good amount of resistance to them, so I didn't have any issues accidentally knocking them out of place, which is always good to see. The armrests feel very stable despite being made entirely of plastic. There really isn't much noticeable wobble. You will find a little bit of play when they're raised all the way up, but it's not really noticeable at all when you're actually using them. I can easily push off of them to shift positions or to get up out of the chair with no issues. The armrests also go low enough to fit under a desk when they're not in use, which is nice if you like to push your chair all the way in to save space. That said, I'm not the biggest fan of the arm pads themselves. They're pretty stiff in my opinion. They do have a little bit of give to them, but I wish they were softer to make them more comfortable when you're digging your elbows into them. The shape also makes them a bit awkward to use in my opinion. They have a slight concave scoop, which essentially forces you to place your arms in the middle of the arm pads. This shape kind of makes it so there are slightly pronounced edges that can dig into your forearms if you're using them in any other position. Now I ran into this issue pretty often because the pivot adjustments don't have enough range of motion to line up with my forearms when they're at an angle, for example when I'm using a mobile device or a controller. Overall, the armrests are just okay in my opinion. They have decent adjustability, I just wish they were a bit more comfortable to use. So now let's talk about value. The Elgato Embrace comes in at $499, and at this price point, now you're kind of starting to compete against some of the more well-established office chair brands. In terms of comfort and adjustability, the chair is pretty in line with what I would expect from other chairs in this price range. It's comfortable, has decent adjustment options, and the Leap-inspired recline mechanism works well. However, I do think the materials and build quality are just okay. The all-plastic construction and minor cosmetic issues that I noticed out of the box make it feel a little bit less premium than I'd like at this price point. At $500, there are definitely other options that feel a little bit better built in my opinion. Now my biggest issue with this is going to be the warranty. Now Elgato doesn't mention a specific warranty for this chair on their page, so I'm assuming this chair falls under their standard warranty for all their products listed on their website, which is 2 years. Honestly, a 2-year warranty for a $500 chair is actually pretty bad. At this price point, you're starting to compete against other major office chair brands like Hayworth and Steelcase, which offer 12-year warranties on their products. products. This warranty period is short even if you compare it to other gaming chair brands like Secretlab, which will give you a 3-year warranty that can extend up to 5 years. I would really like to see this warranty extended to at least 5 years or longer to be competitive with the rest of the market. When you're spending $500 on a chair, you want some assurance that it's going to last. Overall, the chair is pretty decent. It's a solid first entry into the office chair space for Elgato, and I think they got a lot of things right. The design is clean and professional, the comfort is good, and the leap-inspired recline mechanism is well executed. That said, if this chair is going to be priced at $500, you're going to be competing against a lot of the more established brands with better build quality and much better warranty coverage. I think this chair would be a much better value if it was priced in the $300 to $400 range, and if the warranty was extended to at least 5 years. Now, if you're an Elgato fan and want to support them as they enter this new product category, the Embrace is a respectable first effort. But if you're looking purely at value and quality for your money, there are probably better options out there at this price point. So if you're interested in checking out the Elgato Embrace, I'll have a link to it down in the description. Again, using my links costs you nothing but really helps support the channel. If you have any questions about the Embrace or want to know how it compares to other chairs, feel free to leave me a comment down below.